What up, Schmoedown rockers? It's Friday, and usually I'd wait till Monday, but since for some reason they did a double surprise and apparently decided to release both matches Wednesday. Mainly because they were leaving on a Thursday and they knew they wouldn't have had time, so they said screw it and uploaded it there, I guess. So we have our round 2 semifinals all put together. So we are all already ready to go, and then the actors can do what they need to do to throw out the uploads they need to prior, especially some of them are actually, well, at least most of them anyway, are trying to at least go to the Orlando, Florida live event. And I wish I could say I'm going, but I'm not, unfortunately. It's called money. Wish I had that. And, anyway. So, yeah. So, we have our semifinals. Round 3, I'll just probably call it semifinals. I don't know if it'll fit on the... Apparently, your titles can only go up to 100 characters. Fucking sucks balls. Anyway, I'll figure that out later when I get to that part. Alright, here's the thing. To the match, it's themselves, John Rocha, the Outlaw, versus William the Beast Bibbiani. That, apparently, I guess, I didn't understand the bees thing at first until, if not for Dedicated to Art, thank you. My D2A boys from the dungeon, thank you. Thank you for making it pretty clear that it was a nod to Blazing Saddles. For some reason, I only remember beans. Not bees. Beans. More beans, sir. No, I think you've had enough. That's what I remember. Aside from the weird Looney Tunes thing, but that's how long it's been. All I do know is that for the most part, the film itself is kind of funny and has its moments. But, let me fix that. All right, there we go. Anyway, but yeah, I freaking, hold on. Whew. Hotter than what I thought it would be. I mean, it's just 68 degrees, but still. Anyways, that whole match, I mean, the beast thing open, and, Rocha comes out the way he usually does. It's, yeah, and there are bees, Rocha. The bees. It's like, and I'm just, once again, I mean, this is essentially Rocha versus them 2 in terms of one-on-one, even though this is the 3rd time they've technically faced each other, if you're including the triple threat we had involving Ethan Irwin that we had beforehand. So, the real thing is, will Bibbs pull it off again, or will Rocha finally wind up going twice to Orlando, twice, potentially? All depending on whether or not Ben Bateman was going to win the match, because they had made an announcement that they wouldn't have probably bothered, but it was already pretty clear from that point that, okay, I guess he did. No one was, we're going to get to that later. Wow. But, makes sense why it was a shorter match, that one. But anyway, yeah, as far as the Rocha versus Bibbs 2 was solid match. I really enjoyed that one, that's for sure. It was another, once again, Bibbs seems to always with these, definitely didn't have had a tough time. I mean, aside from losing to Dan Murrell in a number 1 contendership, that's all he's really technically lost, I guess. I mean, Shazam did well in their debut, as kind of expected. Poor Scream Queens on that one. How more so poor Haley Fouch. She just can't catch a break. I would be surprised if they find a hot streak and go on a run, but it's a stacked teams year, and it's just not gonna fly there. And once that happens, but anyways, as far as the once again, the match itself was great. It seems though Rocha wasn't doing so hot, and it seems Bibbs had opponent's choice, and unfortunately, it was clear that Dagnino had more of a say in what the category was to pick, because the category they chose was Sly and Arnie. And the questions just, because it's not picked up enough, apparently, questions were a lot easier than expected. And Rocha regretted not picking the one he should have put on him, but he probably wanted to have it for himself, so he wasn't going to do it, which was the Westerns. And I think he should have done it because more so that he could have had it, but so he could have had the chance to steal off of him, which is, he basically needed to pull off what he did with Kalinowski at this point. It wasn't as bad, though. He had it was a decent matchup. I don't know if anyone had a perfect round, though. I think Bibbs did, but I can't remember for some reason. Unless I'm getting confused with something else that happened with the other match. But anyways, I'm trying to remember what category Rocha did wind. I think it wound up being 80s, and he powered through it, I guess, the best he could, unless I'm confused again with what happened with the Kalinowski match. But anyways, the match, and then of course, but it wound up going over pretty well, I guess. And it was to the point where, at the very least, Rocha was at least down by 2 points, so that all he had to do was answers 2 to force Bibbs answers 2. He answered his 2. Rocha answers 3, forcing Bibbs to answer 3. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get his 3, and wound up having to answer his 5 to take it to Rocha, forcing him to answer 5. Basically, going down to the last question. Unfortunately, the way that question was a Tarantino question that even I don't know, because I've kind of seen at least some of the films, including, I know I've seen Hateful Eight for sure, amongst those 4 particular films. But I didn't get to see the latest film from earlier this year, but apparently Red Apple cigarettes, or whatever it was the brand they made up brand or whatever. And yeah, he couldn't pull it, even with leaving no JT on the table. T left unturned. It was just, he used them all. He just couldn't pull it. Even he knew he couldn't pull it, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, it happens, and he just didn't have it as one of the questions he was studying on, so that's also what sucks too. But now he knows it, and he ain't gonna forget it, and hopefully it won't come back to bite him in the ass come the live event this Saturday. And I wanted to be fresh to do this before the live event, so I didn't feel like the need to possibly spoil something. So that's just why I'm glad they released them as early as they did, and I had time to soak in certain things that need be before this happened. So this was nice. And then, of course, we have the one match that will determine, that is much more important because it will determine whether or not we will have what we initially had for an undercard. That's not what happened. And what happened was Brendan Meyer was not on his best game because he struggled a bit. And he wound up, I guess, with 5 points, which is okay, but you need a 6. You need more than that. Which, I mean, having more than half of the questions answered in that round right is still good, or at least decent. But when you're against someone who wound up with a perfect score, and I believe it also got his bonus question, and you're essentially in that turn down by 4, and I believe he let Brendan Meyer have his first turn, and which wound up working in his favor, I guess, and especially given that Meyer unfortunately hit opponent's choice, and that's what did him in for sure. And they, even with what they had given him, which I guess was Bond, of all things. So, for some reason, it was on the wheel and decided to give it to him. And he was able to get the steals he needed in that he could. And, whatever. And most of them were answered through multiple choice. So, it's not like he would have gained enough points anyway, even if he did get it. So, and overall, he wound up And and then eventually came to the point, and he got enough steals in to where by the time he gets to the third question, at the very least, he would have been able to already put him in knockout territory, and he officially did the moment he finally got a chance to answer the final question, officially making it impossible for him to come back from it. Because since the third round, you're basically the total amount of points you can get is 10, and when you're that out of range of being able to catch up, it's done. That's how the game is with that, and the fact that Ben Bateman was able to do this with his bad back, especially having done so. Well, apparently, according to this, it was before the surgery when this was taped. And they tried to make the announcement of what they were going to do because of Ben's surgery. He cannot, even with Ben's surgery and all this whole thing with the back, he could not travel or fly or anything like that. Or at least flight would be a risk for him. And so he wouldn't be able to go to Orlando. And if because of his win, and if Brandon Meyer had won, we would have had the match. But they made the announcement that they did, so once they saw it, especially given them still talking as if the Orlando match that they would have there would still happen, which we know was not the case going into before this happened, which just comes off really weird and kind of jarring for us, because we're not going to get to see that match live. And we got to wait now until Spectacular to see it. And I'm guessing that might be the first match. If not, I guess it'll be the first match. Hell, I'm starting to wonder if that draft bowl was supposedly going to be kind of sort of what we were going to get, but it might have been bigger scale. And I think they're just going to focus on almost every match I think we're going to wind up getting for Spectacular is probably going to be a 5-rounder. Because, all the other matches, I'm guessing the other matches for the most part are going to be championship level matches. And the finals is a 5-rounder like a championship match should be. So I'm guessing that Spectacular is going to be in front of a live crowd and all that. And we know Ben can kill it in front of a live crowd, So he might. So if he beats Bibbs, well, him and Bibbs, either way, whoever does win, they'll have to be the first match so that they have time to decompress before they go to decompress and get their shit together, hopefully in enough time frame to be able to be prepared to do what they need to do against Oyama, especially since the last time he defended the title, and he at least can say he defended it once, even if that defense wasn't much of anything to talk about, and is nearly on the level of what we got from Spectacular 2. Hopefully that's not what we're going to get match-wise for the singles title live, or else it's not going to go, or else that live event and that Spectacular is not going to go over well. So Oyama, do what you got to do, brush up, man, or at least help give us a good match when it comes to that time for that. So, and it's just most of it was more so that Brandon just didn't know those questions, and now he's going to have to learn to study up. He's grateful that for the most part, he has more wins and losses in his column, but other than that, a little disappointed. I mean, it kind of sucks that he got that your last match is honest to God your worst match you've had. It's not something. But it doesn't help when your last match of your singles career is that you got knocked out, especially with the run you had before, and the last time you lost was you actually were pretty solid toe to toe. And then ever since Free For All, for the most part, and the run he had there, the momentum kept going and up until this point, and it just, plus, who knows? He didn't have his Shazam shirt on like he had the past matches, and whatnot, so maybe in some weird way it was kind of a jinx. I don't know. It depends on how you are about that, so. But overall, what we wind up getting is our finals, which we're now going to have at Spectacular, is going to be William the Beast Bibbiani versus Ben the Boss Bateman. And hopefully, more likely Bibbiani could do it. But I think a lot of us kind of feel like want Ben to kind of pull it off, actually, because he's gotten this close again. Last time he did, and it wanted to be a spectacular too, and it just didn't work out in its favor in Shirewolf, like with him and I feel bad for them. But at the very least, though, it was great, made that match so great, is because for Shirewolf's case at that time, it just, they had something to prove. And after that match, they no longer had anything they needed to prove to anyone. They defended their belt. On top of that, it came down to the last question. And it was their question. And it was a make or break. They needed to win and retain, and that was, I couldn't ask it any other way. It was basically in their hands to prove that for them, that they were here to stay up until, what happened earlier this past couple months, which is still depressing to me. But anyway, But anyways, aside from those, the cutscenes we had was whatever. We had another manager thing but this time it was Bibbs trying to suck up to Kalinowski, and yeah, like that was gonna fucking fly. Ha! Ha! Hell, he did the same thing at the end of the promo. Of course. Made absolute sense. Let's to say that. I mean, it's like, family ain't doing that hot, man. And of all the people I feel bad for involved in the family, for the most part, it's McWeeny. I mean, though he chose to agree with it when Sam retired, but I don't think he wanted to retire the belts. And he's been trying to fight and claw his way to getting a chance. And hell, it's because of him that we wound up having what's-his-face in charge, and him leading us to having this draft, or at least as far as storyline purposes is concerned. So, which I kind of figured the moment McWeeny was in it. A lot of people were baking on Rocha, but the moment McWeeny was, I was like, yeah, it's probably going to wind up being him. I would have liked Zipper too, but I wasn't surprised to have at least made it past Stacy. But Stacy pulled that freaking luck of the draw on that one, or at least it helped her out to where she didn't have to get eliminated immediately. But hell, he probably. But anyways, enough of that freaking one matchup. So yeah, that. So instead of what we're going to be, the people of Orlando who are going to that live event, their undercard is no longer going to be the finals, the singles tournament finals. It's going to be, which will now be at Spectacular 3. Instead, it is going to be a draft bowl between Tom Dagnino, John Kaiser, and now Emma Fyfe. And all this who is now back into managing, all because of another cutscene. Which bums me, though I'm glad she's still on Patreon. I like being able to, give off some recommendations if need be for music sometimes. Hopefully she did like that. Hopefully, speaking of which, Emma, you're welcome. In terms of More on Police's Abode at Sea. As far as that album's concerned. I'm hoping you like, or at least I don't know for sure if you really liked it, but if you did, you're welcome. Anyway, I have a couple other idea recommendations I might do later for you, but we'll see. Anyways, some probably have tried to give Brianna at one point during the stream, but anyway, I was going to, but and apparently Christian, because of the incident that happened with Chance, though Chance basically just I think it was kind of BS the way they handled that, and then we see also Christian bringing in Coy and Coy wanting to do managing. Makes sense. After he got lucky when it came to the Kalinowski situation, though he won't get that lucky against Kalinowski this time. I'm glad he's deciding to stick with managing. I'm hoping he does well, despite what Christian will say. I'd like to be surprised. Because the way the management is, especially now how Emma's been lately, since commissioning. And, of course, in terms of doing so, it's decided to get rid of that. However, that's another thing about this whole ordeal that I think is also bullcrap. In terms of the storyline, how are they going to freaking resolve the Mara rematch situation? Because now it was on her, but she's not technically in charge anymore. Or is that... But then again, did they just say that your commissionership is done at the end of the season? Because if it's done at the end of the season, then she can still do it, but she'd have to make sure she pulls it off before the end of the season, and maybe it'll come to fruition and spectacular. But if she's done officially, as of that moment, then that kind of screws up that whole thing. But we'll see what happens with that. That's why I was kind of like, how are they going to address that? But I'm guessing it's not till the end of the season, but we'll see what happens with that whole ordeal and how they'll resolve that since of that cutscene from last week. Or 2 weeks ago. I'm blanking. Things blur for me a lot lately since I freaking turned 30. But anyways. So, other than that, we had aside from that, in the Koijiandru cutscene, the other cutscene was, I was hoping that they were going to do a cutscene to kind of address what we were going to get for the undercard, but technically turns out they kind of did, and that was more so in Dagnino and Emma. Though the way they're coming across for Emma, she seems like she's kind of going a little heelish, more so. I mean, I don't want to be on heel watch for her. I mean, that just depressed me. But I mean, I could handle tweener. She seems on at least that, but I just don't know about the other thing. But overall, aside from those cutscenes, and then us finding out about the draft bowl, I'm Dungeon Hits. I got her Kaiser, but he's gonna be the wild card in this entire thing. Dagnino, I mean, he's had some losses and some embarrassing ones, and especially coming off of both the exhibition one and this and whatnot. He did, for as far as what's been happening lately for the Horseman stable, the fact that we have at least one that at least managed to make it to semifinals, one that at least made it to finals. Hopefully will actually get to have a number one contendership, and maybe possibly win at a live event. Who knows? I mean, that's the thing. Since it's at a live crowd, but anyway, for Yama, I'm hoping he learned his lesson from that thing, and he can fix that situation so whatever happens there, Ben don't wind up taking advantage, because I know he can probably pull that off for sure. Bibbiani might, but I don't know. But I would be careful of that too, since he, because of what happened with Free For All for sure. But yeah, and then, Emma's, when it comes to these bowls that are more exhibition necessarily, technically, bibs. I mean, I say bibs. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyways, the whole thing with that, and then, the post things, whatever, especially even though he was being sarcastic, I like the wee. Anyway. Bibs always you always find me something I wanted to use for a thumbnail now. It's, at least since this tournament. I don't know. But anyways, what did you guys think of the matches, the cutscenes, the announcement of what is gonna be at the Orlando? Also, I don't know if Nico's gonna pull it off or not, and wind up being one of the people that are gonna wind up in a trivia match before the actual undercard and the main event, which of course, I mean, it does cut a little bit of momentum for Rocha, but he still has that win over Kalinowski from the singles, and that's good enough momentum, but this loss is enough that it'll light an even bigger fire under his ass. And with the help of Merle, they're coming for him. They're coming for him. And with how Rocha's been handling things, yes, Kalinowski, now he knows what he's up against now, more so with Rocha. He can't risk it. Even though he wasn't even 100%, but he managed to power through and work through it like a pro should. Like any Schmoedown pro should. And Kalinowski hopefully took some notes, and maybe they might actually pull F and retain, and Founding Fathers will be done. I kind of don't want it. I kind of want to see at the very least to say that at least Dan Morrill used it wisely, and we were able to get him because I knew he wasn't going to use it for a singles belt because he already won that 3 times. He's not worried about it. He's never won a team's belt, and I'd at least like him to win a team's belt, even if Rocha is attached to it, and hat powers unite. But anyways, that's about all. Those are my thoughts going into the Orlando Live event that I will be seeing tomorrow, as of the recording of this being a Friday. What did you guys think? Leave a comment below. Let me know. As always, of all the things talked about, also pondering on what's going to happen with teams, which I'm wondering if that's what's going to wind up starting up after the live event. I'm guessing they might actually do that. So I got to better hurry up and get my bracket going. Signed up and all that stuff so I can get that out of the way. So, yeah. What did you guys think? Leave a comment below. Let me know about the matches. Your predictions going into the live event. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown and Schmoedown Rocks is cooking.